Hello, Mrs. Tiffany Dubon-Yard. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Doing well, thank you so much. So today we'll be conducting an interview of you, the wonderful work that you do on behalf of BCC Association of Latino Faculty and Staff. We will be interviewing Mrs. Tiffany Dubon-Yard, who is currently the Associate Director for the Office of Student Life here at Bronx Community College. And hopefully after this interview, if for some of you wonderful folks, if you do not know who Tiffany is, hopefully you will have a better understanding of her role and her contributions here at BCC. As a first generation Honduran American and raised in the Bronx, how has your background shaped your approach to student engagement and social work?
Um, well, I'll say that first off, a lot of people don't really recognize that I am Honduran, let alone first generation. I've constantly confused for other nationalities, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Mexican. And so when I do say that I'm Honduran, it gives me a sense of pride because one, it's unexpected for most people. Um, and then two, I feel like even though I'm Honduran, I'm very much relatable to a lot of students that may not be Honduran. And then obviously the students that are under and they're like, oh, wow, there's someone with my same background that probably has experienced similar things that I've experienced. And that, have been successful in their career and with their educational goals. So I take much pride in that. I take much pride in being a child of immigrant parents, being first generation. It shows a lot of resiliency. It shows a lot of work ethic, right? That it takes because we don't have it as easy as others. And I'm sure that I know that it brings a huge level of pride to my parents to know that they succeeded in their goals for their children.
Thank you so much. Such a wonderful response. Uh, what inspired you to pursue a career working directly with students, particularly at Bronx Community College?
Well, I went to a predominantly white institution. I went to SUNY Purchase College for my undergraduate career, and then I went to SUNY Binghamton University for my master's program. And I realized, especially in my undergrad experience, that having administrators, having faculty, having staff that look like me and that come from similar backgrounds as me um, was super important for my self of belonging at that campus. To not feel like an outsider, to not feel um, like I didn't belong or anything like that. My first semester at Purchase, within the first week or two, I wanted to leave, and my sister and my advisor who was Latina, um, and my sister, they were both like, "No, you find your people, find your community. You do belong there." Um, I I was told that people aren't just going to come to my room or may not just find them in the classroom. So I have to become engaged outside of the classroom and build my village, right? So because of that, um, I started networking more, not only with students, but with faculty members and staff members on campus. And they were the ones who encouraged me. If it wasn't for my club advisor, my Latino club advisor, who was also my um, supervisor as a resident assistant, he Denny Santos, he's the one who kind of pushed me to pursue my master's. I was studying journalism and sociology. I knew that I did not want to be a journalist anymore. And so I was just like, I don't know what to do. And he was just like, why don't you get a master's in higher education and student affairs? And I was just like, I didn't know you can do that. And within that, I realized, okay, if I pursue this as my educational goal and I make this my career goal, then I can be a Denny Santos for the next generation, or I can be, you know, my advisor Mary for the next generation. Like I just knew that I wanted to kind of uh, give that back. And when the opportunity came up to be an academic advisor at Bronx Community College, um, I felt like, you know what, there, this is my stepping stone to really get my feet wet and give back to not only the next generation of students like me, but to my own community. Being a Bronx native, born and raised, you know, I didn't have that sense of pride at, in Bronx Community College. Growing up, they tell you, oh, that's the 13th grade and stuff like that. And so I was just like, I had all these pre judgmental notions of BCC, and I never even been to the campus, right? So I was just like, let me check this out. Like, let me see what the student body's like. Let me see how is it that I can kind of like give back in that way. And once I my goal at Bronx Community was to be there for 3 years, and I'm 10 years in. And I tell people all the time, it's definitely the students that keep me here. It's nothing more. It's not the money. It's not like I love my colleagues and everything, but I have colleagues that have left and I'm still here. And it's really because of the student body at Bronx Community that feeds my passion to continue in my career field.
Thank you so much. There's so much to unpack there in this response. Before we move to the next question, and you just provide us with a snapshot, right? I mean, we have so of yourself. We have so many students here who they sort of feel lost, etc. And yet you went through the same experience, and so now I can understand and fully comprehend and appreciate why you're so involved with our students because it just permeates. You can see it. Se le sale por los poros, as Dominicans say, right? It's that love and that passion that you have in working with students. So thank you so much for providing that background. Um, how do your studies in journalism and sociology inform your current work with students?
Well, journalism, the interviewing process really is what, got me to dive deep with students. Um, Journalism, I love the investigative part of it all. What I don't like is the competitiveness to the field. So that's what I knew that I was just like, okay, the field itself, I'm not I'm not very intrigued by, but the skills that I learned through it helped me with then sociology to get to know people better, to understand our society better, to learn what questions to ask in regards of what type of information I'm trying to get. And so um, now working with students, they're not an open book, right? So it's you have to dig deep with these students. Sometimes these students don't even realize the things that they go through is something unique within itself. When I'm helping students with their scholarships or transfer applications, just as a quick example, um, they'll say, oh, I don't really have a story. And I'm like, we all have a story. So the journalism investigative part of me, where I start asking them questions, I start, diving deep with them. So then they can self-reflect and they can realize like, oh, wow, I have gone through stuff. I have persevered. I have, overcome and survived, or I am a fighter. I am this, I am that. That they then start taking pride in their own stories. That's where like my where those skills that I gained in studying journalism and sociology really come into play with my work with students.
Thank you for that response. Um, in your role advising both the Student Government Association and Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, as well as past student associations, what differences do you see in how these organizations approach student leadership?
Okay, so Both organizations, between the Student Government Association and Phi Theta Kappa International Honor Society, Lambda Nu chapter at BCC, um, they're both servant leader roles, right? However, the way they serve is very different. So, Phi Theta Kappa, we're very much enthralled in servant leadership when it comes to education and the academics, right? Yes, we do volunteerism and community service as well, but a lot of our service is uh, driven by research and driven by fellowship when it comes to the work that's done academically, right? Um, Meanwhile, with the student government, it's more so surrounded with civic engagement, right? And so their servant leadership role changes in the sense of their focus is the student body. Their focus is making sure that the campus community is serving the students the way it's supposed to. And so they have a bigger role in the sense of like, they have to make sure that they're serving in specific committees. They have to make sure that they are listening to the students' body's needs and wants as well, and to see what is it that they as a group can do to assure that these goals are being met and that they are responding to their constituents, to the people that they are serving, which is the BCC student body. Phi Theta Kappa, they're more concerned. It's not just within the BCC community. They attend these big national conferences where they're meeting chapters from other states, right? Not only within the New York region, but outside of the New York region as well. They get to run for regional positions and international positions where they are representing whole divisions, which include students that may not come from the same backgrounds as them, may not even be from the same side of the world as them, right? So they're both servant leader roles. Their experiences are vastly different. And my biggest, takeaways when I see a PTK member or an SGA member then cross pollinate in that sense, where it's like they're both right. They've either been an officer in Phi Theta Kappa Lambda Nu, and then became an SGA member, or they started an SGA and they were able to get their GPA up to become a PTK member, and now they're like, oh, what's this whole PTK world about? And now they want to become more involved in Phi Theta Kappa. So I love when those two cross mingle because they get to see and have a taste of two different types of servant leadership.
This is wonderful, just amazing. At least from the SGA point, I there's a former student of mine who I just saw how much he has grown since being elected and being a member, and it's just like wow. So please keep up the wonderful work that you're doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Um, what has been your most rewarding experience working with students at BCC? I know that you have a lot of rewarding experience, I'm sure, but if you had to like choose, like pick one or two, you know, what would that be?
My most rewarding experience at BCC, and it's just not, this isn't just a one case scenario. My most rewarding experience at BCC is when I meet a student during their first or second semester at Bronx Community. Um, and kind of like the same way you just mentioned about your previous student, their growth, all the way to commencement. So sometimes I love to see these students come in and they're very shy or they're very academically focused, and they meet me and I start seeing little things in them and I'm like, well, why don't you try a club? Or even do you have work study? Come work in my office, and they go from just books and homework to then, okay, now they're working in my office, or now they are a member of a club, and then they become an officer. um, then they join a committee, or they join the student government, and then now they're a peer mentor at ASAP or for FYP, or now they're working as a tutor somewhere else, and then they're being recognized for more and more things that they're doing outside of the classroom. Now they're earning scholarships, right? They become a Jack Kent Cooke Scholar. They enter the Kaplan Leadership Program. And now they're graduating. And rather than having a plain cap and gown, they're graduating with medals, and they're graduating with 4 different types of stoles, and or different graduation pins on them, and they're being honored in the program and things like that. Like, just seeing that transition from the moment they stepped onto this campus to walking across that stage is and walking across that stage as a completely different person, with their confidence levels up, with their future goals already lined up, whether that's career or academic, um, knowing where they're going after BCC, and knowing that I had to do, I was a part of that transformation for them, is the most rewarding part of working with students at Bronx Community College.
That is wonderful. Thank you so very much. What motivated you to be among the founders of the Social Justice Network, and how has it evolved since then? Can you provide some background about this initiative and its need at BCC?
In the wake of the George Floyd murder, and everything that's been happening since, in 2020, with the pandemic, our political leaders, myself, and some of the other people in the Office of Student Life, we felt like something needed to be done. We needed to either create a space, we needed to be some sort of guidance for our students, right? At that time, it started off as a march that then turned into a riot on the Grand Concourse, and there was stores that were destroyed, and things like that. And so we were all just talking like, we can't just lean on the college president to, say something about this, or to do something about this. What are we going to do, right? Now it's time for us to come together as a community, and to first create a responsible space for us to be able to share our emotions, and to not feel alone, right? If we're scared, then sharing that we're scared and seeing who else is scared. If we're angry, sharing that we're angry and who else is angry. Just knowing that whatever feelings you're feeling, it's not an isolated moment. You're not by yourself in all of that. And um, if you don't have that community at home, then you have it at Bronx Community College. And so myself, along with other colleagues, some are no longer at BCC, right? Some are still here. So at that time, it was myself, Sharmika Pierce, um, Lady Pichardo, who's from ALFS, was joined, Monica Shard, Gloria Rodriguez, Mara Lazda, um, Kelvin Cooper, several colleagues. Um, you know, Nadine Brown, she's no longer at BCC. So a lot of people came together, and we all started having weekly meetings, because it was necessary at that time, just as a sounding board, right? We shared how we felt. We opened it up to the campus community. Whoever wanted to join could join. We created community guidelines, just so we all know that this isn't just a space where you're gonna come and rant and rage about anything. but that you have to be responsible for your words and what you say and your actions. And then from there, we can also brainstorm, right? What are some things that faculty want to do in the classrooms? What are some things that different student affairs departments can do or would like to do? What type of collaborative events can we do together? And so a lot of social justice work came out of those meetings. And so from there, uh, we felt like the school took notice. And so the school allowed us to create a website, right, with resources. We realized that we needed um, uh, we with Khalif Browder Scholarship, we wanted to make sure that that was highlighted. So, the justice, we another group was formed, also in conjunction with the social justice network, which was Justice at BCC, and so we did workshops that were directly for students who are justice impacted, right? And so we did different workshops for that. And so within all of that, with all the work that we were doing, we also created what is now known as the Social Justice Student Leadership Certificate Series. And so we did that, and that's been going on. That's going on for 4 years. We've had three cohorts. Um, and this past fall semester, we did not do one, but I'm bringing it right back this next fall. My executive board should be back. A couple of people had to go on different family leaves, so now come fall 2025, we should all be back, and we should all be reconvening again to start having monthly meetings. We won't have it as often the way we did before, but definitely reviving and bringing back the Social Justice Student Leadership Certificate Series, and continuing the work that we do, especially now it's needed more than ever with diversity, equity, and inclusion being, on on the chopping block with our current leadership.
Indeed, yes, yes. It is my understanding that you have hosted over 100 events related to social justice, civic engagement, and radical wellness. Which of these initiatives has had the most profound impact on the BCC community?
Oh, um, I can't tell you which one has had the most profound impact because there's different levels of measuring, right? If we're talking about which ones have been most attended, which ones have been most mentioned by students, um, there's different things, but there are definitely different staples that we have in each of those areas, right? So, with civic engagement, voter registration, and Constitution and Citizenship Day. Those are two big events that we hold annually. Without a doubt, we did Constitution and Citizenship Day even prior to the Social Justice Network being created. So those are two that with civic engagement, with SJN or not, it's gonna continue going, and it's very important for us to make sure that those two events don't ever die because um, it not only educates a lot of students, faculty, and staff on your rights, um, but it also emphasizes the importance of your voice and your vote. And so we want to make sure that our students are leaving Bronx Community College knowing that they can have an impact in a global impact, a small community impact, but that they have an impact, and that they matter, and that they need to understand that it's important for them to continue the work, to do the work, and not just become compliant with just anything that is it's thrown their way, right? If they feel that something is unjust, is unfair, they have rights that they can exercise, right? So we want to make sure that that level of education is continuing without a pause. Radical wellness, we have things like finding calm in the storm, right? That's through Women Up. We do that without a doubt at least twice a year, once every semester. And it's because it's needed. Students need to know um, that there's a way for them to not only relieve stress, but also find themselves, be bringing them honing into who they are through that level of workshop. And we there's our students, they have a daily storm, right? We're not talking about just the weather and our environment, but we have students that deal with daily stressors, mentally or physically, and they need something that'll grant them peace. They need something that'll make them feel whole. And so, finding calm in the storm is definitely something that we love to do. It's something that students look forward to, for sure. With social justice, we honestly we change what we do with social justice based off of what our society is going through, right? So in regards of that, I think that one of the biggest things that we do all the time is we always bring up a workshop surrounding how to do strikes or marches, or like the right way to get involved within your community. And so how to be an upstander versus a bystander, those types of workshops, I think, are things that, at least in my mind, I feel that students have walked away with saying like, oh, okay, it's not just about being educated of what's happening, but there's also some action that can come with it. And here are some things that I can do safely, with knowing my rights, knowing exactly what is it that I can do, what the law would deem me not being able to do, right? And so they feel some sense of autonomy of like, okay, if I wanted to do this, this is what I can do, this is how I should do it, etc. And then also knowing like there's a lot of times that students are unaware of like the way their ancestors did things in the past, right? So it's kind of like they also learn like, oh, okay, the social media can tell me that marching isn't going to do anything right now, but marching is what got me to be able to vote now, or marching is what got me to be able to go to an integrated school and things like that, right? Learning about the Civil Rights Act and all of that. Um, and if you are a first generation student here at BCC, then knowing like the struggles that people in the past under has gone through in order for you to be a first generation student here in this country, right? So otherwise, if those things, if resistance never happened, if action wasn't ever taken, then you wouldn't be here, to be honest. And so like a lot of those things we bring up and we teach. And we also learn ourselves throughout the process, just in different workshops. There isn't a standalone workshop that we bring back annually, but we try to make sure we cover those bases.
Wow, just thank you. Um, you have been described as working on strengthening the bond within the BCC community to become the village our student body deserves. What does that village look like to you?
That village would look like zero silos, right? And what I mean by that is that our 6,000 plus students is everyone's 6,000 plus students, right? Um, it's not just, oh, ASAP students belong to ASAP and college discovery students. No, ASAP students are also my students, are also biology students, are also, you know, just they're everyone's students. Everyone who works at Bronx Community College, like we all need to be the guides, the protectors, the educators, the developers for all 6,000 plus students at BCC. And in order for us to do that, we all need to be able to work together. If you do your job, you're helping this student. If I do my job, I'm helping that same student. And so if we can learn how to do our jobs and work together and not feel that anyone is out to get each other, or that, if I count this student, that means that you can't not count that student. Like, no, like at the end of the day, if we all work together, enrollment goes up, retention goes up, completion goes up. And with all of that going up, then that means that we have more jobs, right? That means that we would get funded better. That means that it can just bring positivity. There is no negative with collaborative efforts. There is no negative outcomes with us making sure that we're putting the student first and making sure that we are servicing the student first. And I know that people can be working there for 20 plus years, and some people might be jaded because of unfair conditions in one way or another. I get that. But at the end of the day, if you're truly unhappy and you truly feel BCC is not the place for you, and you can't, and the students aren't even the people that bring you to work on a daily basis, then I mean, there's a lot of self-reflecting and reconsideration that you need to do. And so for me, the village are those people that want to come to BCC because they enjoy what they do, or because they enjoy the students, because they want to make sure that every student that walks in, that enrolls into BCC, also is walking out across a stage and not walking out upset or walking into into another community college because we didn't do right by them, right? So that's what a village looks like to me.
I love your response, and I love it for so many reasons. Yes, we need to break the silos, right? We should not be in silos. That would be great. And that message that your students are my students, that is true. These students are, our job, we get paid to do this. I love the fact that I'm able to receive a paycheck for doing something that I love, for example, right? And so coming here every day is just knowing that I was able to help a student, whether it is as a librarian or as an educator in the classroom, but knowing that puse mi granito de arena. So thank you so much for this thoughtful response that shows your humanity. It demonstrates that passion, but also sends a message of, these are all of our students. We should all be a part of, play a part of this. And I agree. Commencement is one of the happiest days for me. Since I've been here, I've made most of the commencements that have taken place, and it's because of that. It's a celebration. We owe it to the students to at least be there for them and say, yes, we were here for you from the beginning to the very end. So I love your message. You should be a positive. You should be a positive speaker. One of these
Like a motivational speaker.
motivational speaker. Yes, I agree. Truly. um, just a few more questions.
Mhm.
How has your involvement with the Association of the BCC Latino um, faculty and staff influenced your ability to support the diverse student population at BCC?
First of all, we are one, if I'm not mistaken, the only Latino association within CUNY, right? For faculty and staff. So that alone to me is something to be very proud of. I love when BCC is the first to anything, right? Because we're so underrated, and people don't give our college enough recognition for a lot of the things that we do. And so I feel like the work that we do in the association, being uh what is a Hispanic serving institution, it's just a direct reflection, right, of our student body population too. So I feel like with the awards that we give out, with the programming that comes out of the association, students see, they may not see it always in the classroom, but at least through our association, students are able to see like, oh wow, there are so many professionals. It's not just the student body population, but there are also professionals within the college that looks like me, right? And it gives them almost like a guiding light to say, okay, after I get my degree in this, I'm gonna be one of those many professionals, right? I currently have in the Office of Student Life, we recently hired last year our student life coordinator. And she is a BCC alum, started off in CLIP. She's also was a Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society student. And I'm so proud to say that now she's a new member of the association. So she alone shows that, from the student body all the way to being a staff member at Bronx Community College, just like the transition and the progression in a student's life and what we can do, right? She's been an award winner, so she's so excited to join the association. She's so excited to be a member because now she's like, it's her turn to do what the association has been able to do for her in the past, and for her to do this now with the students that are currently enrolled at BCC. And yeah, I mean, I joined the association as a member. I saw the work that they were doing during the pandemic when Gloria asked me to be a co-chair for the Committee on Student Life and Engagement, Campus Community Engagement. I jumped at the opportunity to help her with the work that she was doing. When y'all elected me to be interim vice chair and then vice chair, it's really just kind of made me appreciate not only the diversity within our student population, but the diversity and the work that all of my colleagues at BCC do. And I just hope that, um, we can continue doing the work, continue increasing membership, and hopefully influence other colleagues to want to take on those leadership roles in associations like the Latino faculty and staff one that we have.
Having received the President's Award of Excellence in Service, what accomplishments are you most proud of, and what's next on your horizon?
Well, honestly, receiving the award was a surprise because I don't receiving acknowledgement is always rewarding within itself, right? It lets me know that I'm doing something good. But it's for me, it's those day-to-day interactions with students. When I have students from different years, there's always a year where a student refers to me as mother or mom. Right. And it's not because, well, I don't think I mothered these kids, but I guess in the guidance that I provide for them, in the opportunities that they are exposed to, and like I said, that development that they undergo, that's those are the accomplishments that I feel like I'm most proud of, right? People always say like, oh my God, you do so much, you do so much, how can you do it all? And I don't really see it as me doing it all. I see the things that I do, it's not because someone's volunteered me to do it. It's not because I'm like, oh, if I do this, then I'll be recognized for that or anything like that. It's more so I see a need. If if I can complete or fulfill that need, then I'm gonna do it. I don't need extra money to do it. I don't need the validation. I just see that need and I'm like, okay, it's I always use this analogy even with my students during leadership training where I'm like, I don't need to have a title to get something done, right? I can be a president of something. If there's a spill on the floor and I see a mop, I'm not going to wait until a janitor comes to clean that up. If I can clean it up, I'm going to clean it up. Even if I don't have a mop to clean up the spill, if I have some napkins and tissue paper, I'm going to use that and clean it up. Just because I know if I don't, and I wait for somebody else to do it, somebody can get hurt along that while I wait, right? So rather than avoiding any more issues coming from this one thing, I'd rather take care of it. And so, like, that's kind of how I see in doing a lot of the things that I do. It's because I see that there's a need for it. And if no one else is going to step up to the plate to do it, then, and I have the capacity to do it, then I'm going to do it. There are things I've said no to, right? The laundry list of things I could do could be a lot longer, but there are some things that I'm like, no, that's someone else's job. They should be able to complete that. Or, I don't have the capacity, the mental or physical capacity to do more than what I'm doing. For me, the major accomplishment is just my day-to-day interactions with the students, to be honest with you. Everything else that I've done are real, just more so like cherries on top of the sundae.
The interventions that you're making, they're definitely having ripple effects and having we're having very positive outcomes. So thank you for the work that you're doing. Um, and just two more questions, because not to overwhelm you. And I know that I mean, you can have a whole documentary on you, but we're not going to do that today. But yes, you're fascinating.
Thank you.
I mean, if you can't answer this, I know this will be difficult, perhaps these next two questions, but where do you see yourself 5 and 10 years from now?
Well, 5 years from now, I'm hoping that I do become a biological mother. So many students, even just this past year, they was like, wait, you actually don't have any biological children? I'm like, no, I don't, but I am working on it. So I hope to start a family of my own personally. So pray for me, y'all. And 10 years from now, in regards of like my career and academic goals, I do plan to pursue my doctorate. I'm really sure what route I want to take, even though some people keep telling me it doesn't matter the route, just get your doctor, get back into academics and it. And then career. I would love to stay in the Bronx. I would love to be a type of dean of students. But I realized in higher education that the higher you go in your title, the farther away you go from the students. I don't want to lose that student. They try very hard to maintain a connection with the student body. But there's several meetings that they have to go to, especially off campus. Their availability becomes, and I'm an associate director and my availability is very limited. Students, where at one point I had walk-in hours and things like that, my walk-in hours get shorter and shorter because of meetings that I'm taking that are taking up my time. I always make sure that students have a door to me, whether that be, scheduled time, through events, through club advisement, those types of things with me, or even hiring them as work study or college assistants, that they still have a connection with me. So really in 10 years, I'm hoping that I'm somewhere in a dean level position where I can cultivate more departments with staffers that have um, that same type of passion and that are driven by students, um, because I can just do so much within student life, right? But I'm hoping that once I can start overseeing other departments, that I can start developing those areas as well to be more student focused, student centered, And so then, I have a division that is very student friendly, and we can help when it comes to retention, when it comes to enrollment, and definitely when it comes to completion.
Now the final question. Do you have any final words for the people listening to this interview?
Thank you for listening. I can be long-winded, so thank you for listening. And one thing that I learned, and I share this with my students, and I share this even with my friends and colleagues, is that in regards of career goal setting, um, do what you're going to love, what you're passionate about. Don't let a job just be a job. One thing I've always said is if I'm going to spend 8 hours anywhere, I don't want to be miserable for the majority of those 8 hours. And granted, when you love something, work is always going to be work. Nothing's ever going to be easy. uh, you can influencers, athletes, they love their jobs, they love what they do, but it's still work. It's still going to be time consuming. It's still going to take a toll on your body. So never forget yourself and what brings you joy. Don't let your career just be your end all be all and be the ultimate definition of yourself. Make sure you make some time for yourself. Make sure you make time for what brings you joy, whether that's your family, different hobbies, friends, um, find yourself and be happy with what it is that you're doing. Be happy with who you are. Make smart decisions. Um, don't do things that you'll regret. And anything that you quote unquote regret, really reflect on it, because it could be nothing that you regret, but things that you just had to go through because it was now a lesson learned. And just don't repeat any of those mistakes, right? That's how I've been living my life. And, people always ask me, Tiffany, how are you doing? And I say, I can't complain. Um, because I know there's somebody else who's probably not in the same situation that I'm in. So, do what you love, do what brings you happiness and joy, and do that in every aspect of your life.
Thank you for this touching message and these final words, Mrs. Tiffany Dubon-Yard. Thank you so much for everything that you do here at Bronx Community College, and we're a better place for having you as a member of this community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be interviewed. This was fun.